I gotta throw something out there. You know that YouTube video that's also gone around about the little girl who's
replying to Bill O'Reilly?
Yes,
yeah.
Who clearly is reading from a script and is spliced together saying the words so that it sounds like she's saying it all in one breath.
But the effect of that is very much like many other YouTube posts from young girls that videotape themselves telling about their lives and their stories and stuff. So I don't think at this age. I don't think that at this age. I recognize that as part of the parody.
Right.
Okay. So
but I don't think that at this age this little girl really understands.
She's probably not doing the
Bill
splicing
O'Reilly.
herself.
Yeah. No, but I don't think she knows enough about the heavy philosophical issues that have been scripted for her.
I'll stop interrupting. Please go on.
I had the same objection to the video.
Yeah.
I watched it, and at first I was like, well, that's, that's
by the way,
neat.
Can we get a tiny URL for that in the chat room?
Sure.
I mean, I'll just ask the people in the chat room to find that, because I'm sure they know what I'm talking about.
It's listed as like the world's smartest 7-year-old or something.
But it's so obvious. I mean, she didn't write that. She didn't come up with it. Those aren't her original thoughts.
Right.
And to me, I have just as much objection to that as I do to other forms of indoctrination.
I think we can... Okay, there's the difference between some kid reciting something and some kid who's expected to actually believe what they're saying.
True.
And,
my guess is that those parents would probably very much like their daughter to believe what she's saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They have a band, like a mom and dad are apparently a 2-person band, and they've got a bunch of their... I listened to their songs. They have an interesting sound, but unfortunately I can't say that it's actually good. But they're very counterculture, sarcastic, odd sort of fringe folks, which is fine. I don't know. I mean, there's. I brought up the post that I made on MySpace, but that woman was only asking, can't we stop trying to convince each other? To which my answer was no.
Right.
The further question is, can we justify actually intruding in these people's lives? At what point, or can we ever do that? Or if there is a point when we can, where is that point?
Well, the main
when it's physical abuse, it's clear.
Yeah.
When it's mental abuse, it's not so clear.
But it seems like these people that inculcate their kids into, the brainwash their kids, basically they view their children as the means to an end.
Oh, sure. You did see Jesus Camp, right?
Right.
Those kids are a means to an end.
Right. And
they want to conquer the
when you
planet
do that,
by
I think you're abusing your kid if you use them as a means to an end. Because you're not viewing him as a kid anymore. You're viewing him as a means to an end.
All throughout history, people have viewed their kids as a means to an end, even if the end was only you're going to inherit the lands and carry on the tradition, right? Carry on the family business.
Well, it's hard to find a line, and it's hard to define the points where you can intrude and where you can't intrude. I just happen to think, this petition was putting the cart before the horse and completely impractical and unreasonable. But I think that in general we should be expanding, I hate to say this because it's going to sound bad, but expanding how and when we can interfere. To kind of broaden the definition of what qualifies as abuse, because not every person who's teaching their kid religious things, I don't think that's abuse in every case, and I don't think Richard Dawkins does either.
I think that I would go at it from the other end, rather than going directly at the mechanisms that we've got for intruding into people's lives and expanding them. I think that what Dawkins and Harris and Dennett and others and us have been doing in simply raising consciousness about the danger of religion, the dangerous consequences of religion, could very well, in and of itself, help solve the dilemma by leading to a more general understanding of how much indoctrination and what kind of indoctrination is wrong and too much.
I'd like to throw out something which is very integral to the Center for Inquiry's mission, which I heard discussed by, I think, Jeff Jones, who's the local director there, which is basically that people didn't overcome systemic racism and sexism by ultimately passing laws against them. They turned things around by making it not cool to be a racist or a sexist. So these days, even someone who is really a racist deep down is embarrassed to admit it, and is
mostly
most
not those girls.
Yeah. Right, but, I mean, those girls are on the far end of the bell curve.
Right.
And I'm also reminded of something that happened, a story I heard, which was basically that the Ku Klux Klan, when it was at the height of its power, one of the things that happened was that somebody infiltrated them and learned all their secret passwords and handshakes, and he was a friend of the producers of the old Superman TV show.
Yeah.
And there were a series of episodes where Superman fought the Ku Klux Klan, and the bad guys were represented as very buffoon-like people who were actually using the legitimate and correct secret stuff that you're not supposed to know about within the Klan. And they looked like idiots. I mean, little kids were going around doing the Klan secret handshake, which was no longer a secret. And they faded into obscurity because nobody took them seriously anymore.
Right. Yeah, and I agree with that strategy.
Well, ridicule.
That simply raising awareness to the actual implications and hazards and dangers of all this stuff is what we ought to be spreading. Yes, Matt.
And that's pretty much the conclusion I came to in the response that I was doing. Martin and I were having a discussion about this before we got the information that Dawkins had recanted. And the final thing that I had said was, while I can't support this petition and I'm not in favor of excessive intrusion into how parents raise children, I do think it's time to broaden the scope of that intrusion just a bit. But perhaps a better plan would be to improve what we teach in schools and require to be taught in home schools. Flood them with the means to escape, and it will make little difference what sort of religious training they've endured.
Right. Critical thinking.
And I'm feeling good.